everybody. Me again, Real with Omar. Thanks for tuning in again. Today's special guest is Jermain Miller, who is not only a 4-time, I believe, published author, he's also a publisher. So we're going to talk about all things motivation today, and we're going to talk about the art of writing a book. And I have his book here, one of the books, The Magic Power of Your Inner Conversations, which is, if you think about that, it's pretty crazy because self-talk is something we talk about all the time. I self-talk to myself at least 5 times a day. I don't know if you do. Jermain, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely, my brother. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
All right.
It took me 7 hours to get here, but I'm finally here.
I'm sorry. You know what? But if it wasn't, if you didn't have to earn it, it won't be worth it.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
So, all right, just looking at this book real fast. Now, we're going to go in a lot of places.
Of course.
So the foreword is by Don Green, the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Yes.
So anybody who deals with any type of positivity, self-motivation, self-development, they know that Napoleon Hill is like almost one of the forefathers, right?
Pretty
so
much.
How did you get him to do the foreword in your book?
Well, Don Green is obviously, he's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. He was one of those people that I looked at as very inspirational for what he was doing and what he was bringing to the personal development marketplace. And so I reached out to him.
Straight up?
I mean, just straight up reached out to
DM,
him.
email?
On Facebook.
Facebook?
He's very active on Facebook. I reached out to him, told him about how I was like proud to see someone carrying the Napoleon Hill Foundation forward because I'm a huge Napoleon Hill advocate. I've studied Think and Grow Rich. I've read that book hundreds of times.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite
too, life
books.
changer.
Yeah,
Life
life-changing books. You got to read that book. And so we kind of, started a small dialogue at that particular point. And what happened in the process is he was able to witness my character. So
And just in conversation?
Just in conversation
Okay.
and going back and forth and text message. And then we started talking a lot on the phone.
Okay.
And what's so powerful about that is my spiritual mom, her name is Diana Nightingale. So if we're talking about motivation, her husband who passed away, his name's Earl Nightingale. So anybody knows Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret was one of the first motivational recordings on record that sold over 1 million copies. So Strangest Secret, Lead to Feel. Earl was like one of the first people that kind of moved the motivation industry to what it is today.
Moved the needle. Okay.
So years ago, I was listening to The Strangest Secret. I listened to it for like 2 years straight every morning. It's about a 30-minute clip. And one morning I got up and I started saying to myself, well, what happened to Earl Nightingale? Like I just, it was just something in me that made me go look for his family.
Right.
And I found his wife on LinkedIn.
Really?
Right. And I'm like, well, he's like 30 years older than her. How is he?
How'd that work?
Right. How did that work out? So anyway, long story short, we developed a really great relationship. And I felt like I was kind of like the bridge to like the older generation speakers and connecting their information to the new generation speakers. Right. And ironically, I remember having a phone conversation with Don Green and three-way in with Diana Nightingale and just listening to some of the things that they talked about, like the things that she would talk about with Earl and how Don was such a fan of Earl Nightingale and the things that she talked about because Earl Nightingale knew Napoleon Hill. It was one of the most dynamic conversations I've ever been. So I was able to cultivate those relationships with the older generation and kind of feel like I'm the middle point for that information to keep coming for the younger people to know those types of people that existed back then.
Earl Nightingale. And then again, going back, so then you connected with her, and then how did you get him to write the foreword for your book?
Yeah, again, so he knows me through Les Brown, which we'll talk about.
Okay.
I guess
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a few minutes, bro.
But he knows me through
I'm the
Les
host.
Brown.
I'm the host. I'm the one who brings it up. All right.
So he knows me through Les Brown. So again, in building any kind of business in general, people are going to check your integrity and your character, especially in a motivational speaking world or in any speaking genre. People want to know like who are you?
Yeah, where's it
and
coming
because
from?
I'm coming from a Les Brown genealogy, it's easy to kind of make a phone call, or someone sees you and he can kind of co-sign for you.
Right.
And so that's pretty much what happened with Don, and then obviously we cultivated our relationship from then. So when I was writing The Magic Power of Your Inner Conversations, I was thinking about who could write the forward to it and how this would make sense, or like who would be the perfect person. And I literally woke up one morning and thought of him.
Yeah.
And I called him and I said, Don, I need a favor.
Right.
And he's like, what's that favor? And I said, I'm finished my book and I would love for you to write the forward to it. He said, send me your book. I sent it to him, literally had the forward to me the same day.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're an author, you're also a publisher.
Yes.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
My question is, what brought you onto this path? Like, what did you do before you were an author? Like, how do you wake up and say, yo, I'm a writer? Like, you know what I'm saying? And
No.
I'm not even gonna go into the whole being black or brown.
Right,
Because that's a
right.
whole different topic
Yeah.
about how did you discover that to be your passion? How did you discover that this is my calling? And what like, give me the steps, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there or people that want to tell their stories. Would love to meet somebody like you, like a publisher, editor who could help them, but give them a little backstory.
Right. So, I mean, we all have paths and journeys that we go on in life, and that's trying to find out what our purpose is and how we can impact and empower people to live their dreams, because you live in yours.
Right.
And I think that that's the issue nowadays. Most people are telling people to live their dream and go after the best life and do all these great things, but they're secretly miserable themselves, and they're not living their own dream. And I think that's where I was. Actually, I found myself, I was going through a divorce years ago, and I woke up, I was sleeping on the floor in the basement. I'm looking at the ceiling, I'm going through all these things. I got, children by different women. I'm going through a divorce. I had spent some time in prison. And, I lost my grandmother a few years before that due to cancer.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out how at 25 years old, I got every reason to do well in life, but I'm failing.
Right.
And I think we get to those places in our lives sometimes where it seems like, well, we wanted life to look this way, but unfortunately now it's looking this way, but I don't know how to get out of it. I know I don't want to be here no more. And so what I wanted to do is, I knew I didn't want to live like this anymore, but I needed to define what I wanted my life to look like at that particular point.
So you had no goal at that point. That's a big thing.
That's a huge thing.
I was talking to somebody about that. Without a goal, where are we going? Right.
Right. And also we have to understand that the meat or the definition of a goal. A goal causes you to become a different type of person in order for you to achieve it.
Yeah.
Right. So when you set a goal, you can't expect the goal to come down and get you.
It's not coming to you.
You got to
You go
rise
get
up
it.
to go get the
Yes,
goal.
sir.
So sometimes we don't have goals, we have checklist items.
Right.
A checklist item is something that I know how to do. A goal is going to make you stretch and be something that you never was before.
Right.
And so a checklist item is something that I've done before, it's something that I'm used to doing, and then that's why I create the circumstances that I'm in right now. So in order for me to change my circumstance, I got to change the person that I am by becoming something better than I am. And when I found myself there, I had to make that particular decision. The decision is challenging because we know what we don't want, right? I know what I don't want, but I usually define what I don't want, or I know what I don't want, or I know what I do want after what I don't want appears.
Okay.
So I get it. And
So
I said
process
this,
of elimination
right.
kind of,
So
right.
in my book, Wake Up and Win, my first book, I said that. I said, we get in life what we don't want because we never decide what it is that we do want.
Right.
We only decide what we do want after what we don't want appears. And then we spend most of our time fighting away
that
what we
shit.
don't
Yeah,
want, right?
yeah.
And so at that point, I had to make a decision. What do I want to do, right? And so I got my real estate license at 25 years old.
Okay.
I had 93 cents in my bank account, pennies in my pocket, but I had to make a decision. I borrowed the money. It was $250 at that time to become a real estate professional in New York City. I didn't want to service the boroughs. I wanted to work in Manhattan. I had big dreams, big goals, started at a company. The manager didn't realize, he didn't believe that I had 93 cents in my bank account.
Really?
So I printed it out for him.
Really?
And he's like, you need to get out there and go earn some income. And I remember it took me 4 days to get my first check. I was hungry.
Wow.
And I was sleeping in the office at that time. I'll never forget that. I'm the
You
first
homeless?
one. Yep. I'm the first one in the office, last one to leave, not because not because I wanted to be there, but because I didn't have a choice. I'm showering in gym bathrooms, but what that did was it ignited something in me, and I sold over $100 million in real estate over that time frame. But in that process, I started reading and becoming someone of value in the process too, because I didn't want to keep
started investing in yourself,
started investing in myself, personal development and all that stuff. So I started reading a lot of books. One book in particular was Live Your Dreams by Les Brown, because I felt like I was living a nightmare prior to, didn't want to get there. So I started reading books like that. Jim Rohn, obviously, Think and Grow Rich, Tony Robbins, all of those early on.
Right.
That's what catapulted me. And what I realized is that out of all of the income I was earning, I still wasn't happy.
Okay.
And
So at that point, you financially, you're doing well.
I'm doing well now.
But you were not. You're not fulfilled.
I'm not fulfilled. I got the money now. I'm not fulfilled.
Right.
And the reason why I wasn't was because I felt like I was not building my dream. Right.
Okay.
And real estate to me was a vehicle. It got me from where I was to where I wanted to be.
Right.
And so what was my dream? I'm telling people to live theirs. I'm telling people they need to be inspired to be great. And I'm here building a dream, working for somebody else. Although I'm earning the income, I'm still working for someone else. So in 2015, after 10 years in the industry, I launched my first real estate brokerage. Then we opened up 3 offices right after that. And in that process, I started training real estate agents.
Okay.
And in that process, I launched a consulting firm, which is a motivational consulting firm. We work with Fortune 500 companies. I've worked with auto dealerships, real estate companies, life insurance companies, one-on-one coaching. And because of that process, I started writing books. Okay. So you see how the line goes like that. But you can only do that when you're going after your purpose in life.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in frequency? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
The new thought era.
Absolutely,
So me and my wife live by that.
Absolutely.
You touched on something, and I do want to expand on it. So I come from nothing, right?
Right.
I've done okay, and the one superpower that I seem to have is that I focus on what I want.
Right.
Even if there's a whole bunch of red lights everywhere else, I just have that tunnel vision. I just ignore it, and I endure, because it doesn't come overnight.
No,
and most people don't understand that. They think, oh, you want to be an author, you want to publish books,
right?
Oh, you're a millionaire now. No,
right.
I mean, the fact that you're telling people, yo, I was sleeping in the basement. I had 93 cents in my pocket. Yo, I was homeless. I was taking shit. Yo, but that's the real that people have to hear. When
Absolutely.
I started in mortgages, I had a liquor store. So on Friday, Saturday, Sundays, for whatever reason, a lot of my clients were Latino and didn't speak English and stuff like that. So Saturday mornings, I would wear a suit, go see my clients, see what they needed to do, because they didn't have the education. Like, they didn't know about printouts. They didn't know about any of that. So I had to go to their house and go through the whole thing with them. Then I would go to my store, have employees there, change, throw on my whatever, my jeans, my shirt, and go start moving boxes and like that, because I knew what I wanted. It was more than what I had.
Right.
But I wasn't shitting on what I had.
Right.
I was maintaining it, but I was pursuing something bigger, something greater. And I was okay working double shift. I was okay with that. That, I feel, is the part where a lot of people fall short. Right. Where the execution becomes almost laborious when it should be actually your enjoyment. Because here I am. Right. Here I am. Like, a lot of people don't know that, like, you could try to pursue something and then, be shut down. No.
Right.
No. And then what? But here I am, like, I'm working 2 jobs. It is what it is, bro.
Right.
Like, but if it's your passion,
right,
you just kind of make the time.
Yeah.
Right. It's like things that you want to do, you make the time.
Absolutely. And you have to understand, as you talked about briefly, from the new thought, my
new thought era
is completely filled with that. And when most of the time in life, when we get our dream, or when that goal or that inspiration hits us, we're not at the place where we can see it physically. Right? I want to be rich. You feel now, you jump up, but the money's not there, right? And so life never gives you the vision for the journey. It only gives you the vision for the dream. And what I mean by that is, I'll get the dream, you'll get the dream. You're gonna be great one day. You're gonna own businesses. You're gonna earn a lot of income. That's the dream. But life never shows you the journey and the detours and the ups and downs, and the businesses failing and the deals falls apart and the marriage goes into shambles and you're losing weight and you're gaining weight and the depression and all these different things that happen. Life never shows you the journey, because if life shows you the journey, then you're like, you know what, I'm not going to take that route.
It's too hard.
It's too hard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you mentioned something that was so powerful, and that is the appearance of things, right? Usually when we go after something, our subconscious mind, we've trained our subconscious mind to a point where if something happens to us, we operate out of our memory, not out of our imagination.
Right.
So if I see something and I want to go after it and I'm met with just a little bit of resistance, it's like, you know what, this isn't for me.
You'll
I'm
pull
gonna
up
throw
every
in the
bad memory
towel.
you've had of
gonna-
negativity.
Yep, absolutely. And the appearance of things are contrary to then what I want. So I'm unwilling to go after that dream because now I see the journey.
Yeah. What about and this is big, especially in our backgrounds, where somebody else is telling you that's not possible.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not possible for you.
Right.
And all of a sudden you become disrespectful, combative. But I'm just saying, look, I get it.
Right.
Not for you. For
Right.
me it is. But you gotta have that hard-headedness, that little extra click
Right.
of a little bit, I call it a little crazy switch, be like, yo, I gotta walk around you. I can't even hear this no more.
Yeah,
Gotta
and
keep
that's
going.
the thing too, right? Like, so in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says positive and negative emotions can't occupy your mind at the same time.
Correct.
One or the other
They
will
negate each other.
dominate. And the problem is the one that usually dominates is the one we often feed it, and it's the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So usually people mean well. They mean well when they're coming to you saying, oh, you know what? Maybe you should ease up a little bit. Maybe you shouldn't train with the 20-pound vest. Maybe you shouldn't get up in the morning at 5 a.m. and run 10 miles. What you doing all of that for? People mean well.
Take it easy.
Take it easy, right? You don't gotta go so hard doing
the
these.
rush?
Right. Exactly. So we have to understand that most people are trained. They've literally trained themselves to be negative every single day.
Yeah, and they don't realize that.
They don't realize it.
Yeah.
They don't realize
I think
it.
a lot of it has to do with what they see on TV or whatever, because now it's not just TV, it's all these different angles of where you
Everything.
get like this data,
Information,
right?
yep.
Yeah. So you don't understand how powerful the images are that you look at, because I remember when George Floyd happened, my kids, everybody stuck at home, COVID, right?
Right.
George Floyd happened, and
Right.
this thing is all over the
Right.
internet. And one of my kids told me, yo, I can't even look at my phone right now. It's
too much.
It's making me feel a different way, and like
much.
not good. And I'm like, wow, like that to me was like a bomb. I was like, wow, my son's being affected by something that he's looking at on his phone, and it's physically affecting him.
Yeah, it
And
would that
was a real big wake up for me.
That was one of the most life altering situations for me too, because I was in the process of one book and that couldn't move in the direction that I wanted to move in. And I'm home dealing with the same things everybody dealing with,
Right.
COVID, George Floyd, protests, Trump, all these things that's going on. And I'm watching CNN, constant negative news, MSNBC all day. There's nothing else to do but look at that. And one day I said, you know what? I felt it. Like you're around people, you're looking at certain things, and it's the negative energy is so much, it's draining.
The vibe is palpable.
And, right. And I felt it.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm like, you know what? I'm getting ready to turn this television off. And I grab my remote and I'm literally getting ready to point to the television, and I stopped. And as I stopped, the cameraman zoomed in on this person, and this person was sleeping on a bench. Right now, the defining part of this is that this person is sleeping on a bench with the covers pulled over their eyes in the midst of the George Floyd riot,
Middle of the day.
right. Riots, looting, right? People screaming and yelling, there's fires, there's cars
Armageddon shit.
This
Yeah.
man is sleeping on a bench with the covers pulled over his eyes. And I asked myself that day, am I somewhere mentally, spiritually, emotionally laying on a bench with the covers pulled over my eyes because I don't want to live either? And that's a question that you got to ask yourself, especially at this point in life.
Right.
Because a lot of people, as Abraham Maslow once said, they tiptoe through life hoping to arrive at death safely, and they play it safe.
Right.
And then when things are happening like this all around them, all they're accustomed to is pulling the covers over their eyes.
Yeah, not seeing it. If I don't see it, it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think you just said something that was kind of something I want to talk about. Is like, I talk to a lot of people all the time. Obviously, I have a show, and I do multiple. I have mortgages, I do real estate. So I'm just always in connection with people. And sometimes the question becomes more, well, how do I do this? And how do I do that? And I tell them by doing it, by going forward, by taking a step. But I also started prefacing things with like, look, the bigger life you want, and it's just not monetary. It's just the bigger life, the bigger impact you want to have on other people.
Yes.
It's like there's a price to it.
Yes.
There's a price to it. Like you have to give, and I think it's a problem for a lot of people. Like giving with no experience.
Right.
Like they expect it's like quid pro quo all the
Yes,
time.
yeah.
I'm like, yo, sometimes you just gotta give.
Right.
It could be years. It's just give. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that you give, you'll receive. But you can't do it with the expectation of receive because you're putting your energy into the universe, right? And the universe, I believe, reciprocates.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a law.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they don't see it that way because they don't get the instant gratification.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's a law. The law says you sow, you reap.
what you sow.
That's not just from a negative connotation, because I think we use that from a negative connotation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sow and then now you're getting your karma. No, this is nature's law. If I plant a seed in the ground, I'm going to reap my harvest, but I must give first. I can't go to the ground and say, hey, ground, listen, I need you to do me a favor and I need you to give me my harvest. The ground is going to say, hey, listen, I want to give you the harvest. Where's your seed?
I can help you. Right. I can't help you. I can't do it for you.
Right. So, and I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I said that giving, which is so powerful, we usually expect someone to give us back the person we gave to. So like if I help you, I'm looking for you to help me, but that's not how the universe is. So vast, it's so abundant. We can't pinpoint where I'm going to receive my increase from. But if I operate under the law of giving, I can give to you everything, but it comes from someone else.
Absolutely.
But now I'm mad at you because you didn't give me. And I'm closing off the stream.
When they do that with the expectation, and that becomes the issue. The issue is you have to give them no expectation.
Right.
I have a video I'm dropping up probably, I think tomorrow or whatever, talking about this exact thing. Like, yo, you just got to give because it's a testament to who you are.
Right.
Has nothing to do with the person receiving.
Right.
You give and be like, yo, man,
that's it.
I wish the best for you.
That's it. And it's okay for you to walk in expectation of receiving because you're a giver. Now, you can't be a good giver but a bad receiver.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I give, but I also expect, but I'm not expecting it to come solely from you.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the universe to provide because I'm a giver, and that's just the law.
I just think that if you have the right mindset, that just becomes a thing because it's almost like a thing of reciprocity. Right?
Yes.
Where you just believe in it, yo, man,
this is what
good things
is.
gonna happen, man.
That's it.
I'm doing this, it'll happen. Maybe from here, but from there, there'll be some good news.
That's the truth.
Right? And you got to live that way. But what people don't seem to understand is that you have to truthfully live that way. And let me unpack that word, truthfully live that way. What I mean by that is that you can't say, oh, I'm a do this, and in the back of your head, like, yo, man, I hope he hits me up, because the universe will call you out, bro. They'll know that energy. You can't fake the energy.
Nope.
Right. So that's the thing, because people are, oh, I'm gonna try it. I tried it for 2 weeks. I was like, yo, it's a life.
Right.
It's a lifestyle.
Every day.
It's not in 2 weeks it's your life. And once you approach life that way, you approach everything that way.
Right.
And that's when you see the big difference.
That's right.
Yeah, but I hear it, but again, going back to truthfully, people truthfully doing it, like genuinely doing it.
Right.
Truly doing it. That's what I don't see too much of.
Right.
That's what I don't see too much
of. We're at a place now where that's not even being taught. It's not even something that's being
Everybody's talking about what's mine, what's mine.
Yeah. Right, what's mine. So that's where the issue comes
Everyone wants just to take, right? And eventually, if you only take, there'll be no more to give.
There's no more to give.
There you go. You got it. We're on the same page, baby. All right, so let's talk about Les Brown. Let's talk about how you met Les Brown, please, because we talked about it a little bit before at lunch, but I think it's such a great story. I really want to pack it on the show.
Yeah, so Les, he's my spiritual father, my mentor. A lot of people call him their mentor, but their mentor from far.
Right.
And so when I started reading his book, Live Your Dreams, actually someone gave me the book because they said I look like him.
Okay.
That was one of the reasons why. They said, oh, this guy looks like you, and you should read Live Your Dreams because you're living your nightmare. And I'm like, okay, I got it, thanks. So I started reading him, and the interesting thing about Live Your Dreams is that there was one line in there that really impacted me. And that was, you have something special, you have greatness in you. Now, I mean, people talk about you have greatness in you and purpose and all this other stuff, but it was just something that the way he said it that really hit me.
Right.
And it stuck with me for years, to a point where it was like, one day I want to meet him.
Right.
Just want to meet him. and tell him.
So he made an impact on you.
Right. And just tell him how much he really impacted my life. That was it.
Right.
I never went to any Les Brown seminars. I never did anything like that. But one day there was a seminar in, it was a seminar in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. I drove there from here. And I remember it was one of those all-day seminars to where he got on a stage at like 8 o'clock. And I'm there at like 8 in the morning.
Wow.
Hungry because I just wanted to see Les Brown.
Right.
Like 5,000 people in this audience. And I paid for this ticket because they said you would be able to take a picture with Les Brown. So I'm thinking this platinum package or whatever I bought, I'm going to get my picture. So they say, okay, you could come take a picture with Les Brown. I go running down there. The lady goes, can I see your ticket?
Package.
I show her the ticket and she goes, no, the package with the pictures was the titanium package. I said, well, this is VIP. And I'm going back and forth and I go sit back in my seat and I'm angry now. I'm like, I came here to take a picture so I could tell my mentor, this gentleman who turned my life around, that he turned my life around and thank you, you know? Right. And so I went back to my seat and I sat there and I was going to leave. I didn't hear Les Brown, nothing. I was going to leave. I was pissed. But I sat there that day with some intentions. The first intention I had was that I would eventually meet Les Brown. And the second intention I had was I wouldn't be in his life as a picture taker. I'd be in his life as a spiritual son. I made that commitment that day. And the event that I went to was a Get Motivated seminar. It's called Get Motivated Events. And this is why I wanted to say that because it's a powerful story. And so I left that night and all I was thinking about was Les Brown. I'm like, I don't know nobody who knows Les Brown. I can't email nobody who knows him. I can't make a, please help me.
Right.
I'm drowning here. I got zero connections. And this is when I started understanding the dynamics of being able to operate at a certain frequency. Like that's when that thing opened wide up for me. And so every day I'm seeing Les Brown, I'm seeing myself working with him, talking to him on the phone to a point where I grabbed my phone and I put his name in my phone. I didn't have his phone number, but I put his name in my phone. About a few months later, I got an ad online that said they were doing a Les Brown Institute in Florida. And I'm like, no way, this has got to be some kind of scam. Right. Les Brown's not doing no institute in Florida. And so I called. And yes, that was true. They were doing an institute in Les Brown. The numbers that they were asking for, I thought it was pretty crazy. But I said, hey, if this is an opportunity for me to meet him, I'll put the money up. Right, and that's the thing that we have to understand. We can talk about what we want to accomplish in life, but sometimes it's going to require us to make an investment. Right. A time investment, a mental investment, a physical investment, or a monetary investment to see if you're really serious about that. So I did that. And before we had this event, they asked us to do a 3-minute video, and some people would be picked to stand on the stage to speak in front of Les Brown. Now, I've never spoke, before that, I had never spoken in front of a crowd of like more than like 200 people. Right. Let alone
200 people is a lot of people too.
Let alone Les Brown sitting right there. Right. So they wound up, no pressure. They wound up picking me. I was one of the people they picked. Long story short, I met Les Brown in the elevator that night, the night before, and I had a red tie that I wanted to give him because that's how I am. I'm a giver. And he was like, you know, how did you know about me? He starts asking me questions, and he's like, you got a powerful speaking voice. That's what he says to me. And that was kind of like it. So the next day I ran into him in the lobby, and he's sitting down talking to somebody. He jumps up, and he's like, I want to take a picture with you. And I'm like, what's happening here? Right. And then as we taking a picture, as we taking a picture, he's like, where's your book? And I said, what do you mean, where's my book? I don't have a book. He said, I want you to write a book. And the book that you write, I'm going to write the forward to. I said, excuse me? I'm like, you don't even, like, I'm saying to myself, you don't know me. Yeah, but I injected my subconscious mind so much with the feeling of becoming a spiritual son for Les Brown that I merged myself into reality. And that's what was happening. And so sometimes we can picture, we can speak, we can feel, and not realize that this event will actually take place because we felt it for so long. Right. And then when it starts to happen, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. No, you've imagined that, right? And so anyway, long story short, I got a chance to stand in front of Les Brown. I had this speech I put together. My mouth is is so dry speaking in front of, it was so dry. It felt like I had cotton balls in my mouth. But when I finished the message, he stood up and he grabbed me and he said, we got a lot of work to do together. And I'm like, this is unreal,
right?
And so we left that weekend, and literally like 2 days later, I got a call from a number that I didn't have in my phone. And I didn't respond to it because the number looked like a bill collector. Right? It was like
a fake number.
Right, yeah. And so the next day, Les Brown's manager called me. And she said, Jermain, Les was trying to reach you. I said, excuse me? And she
You
said,
had her number though?
I had her number.
Okay.
But you see, now I got the connection.
Yeah.
And so she said, he's trying to reach you. He called you from this area code. I'm like, oh my God.
That was yesterday.
I hung up. Called him right back right away. He was in the airport. He said, listen, son, this is what he called me. Hey, son, how you doing? Listen, son, we got a lot of work to do. Can you meet me in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in like 3 weeks? I'm like, yeah.
Right.
And so I wound up going to Fort Lauderdale at his house, and I stayed with him for like maybe about 5 hours. We talked about a lot of things. And the thing that is so impactful is that I studied so much personal development, the greats, that I was able to have a conversation with him that he wouldn't normally have with a young person, or he wouldn't normally have, period.
You had the background education.
We had the background education, the personal development. So I'm motivating him. But again, we talk about giving, right? When I made the decision that I would be in his life, I also said I have to give something in exchange for being in his life. What I gave in exchange for being in his life was my personal development growth. Because if I didn't grow, by the time I got in front of him, I would have still been a person who wanted to take a picture.
You wouldn't be ready.
I wouldn't have been ready. So they say when a student is ready, the teacher appears. He appears. And then from that moment, we cultivated this relationship. My first book, Wake Up and Win, took me 2 years to write.
Wow.
It took me 2 years, and I was forcing myself to write it. But in that 2 years, I developed one of the best relationships with Les Brown.
Right.
So when it was time for him to write the foreword, now he's writing the foreword based on what he truly knows about his son.
Right.
But the interesting thing about this is the very next year, I'm at a Get Motivated seminar, and now it's in Newark, New Jersey. And I'm behind the stage. I'm walking Les Brown out. He gives me his phone, and he goes, son, do me a favor and record this video. The year before that, I'm sitting in the audience with 5,000 people getting rejected to take a picture to see him. The next year,
you're recording him.
I'm recording him backstage and taking him to his hotel room after the event is over, all because of my imagination and me completely feeling that regardless of my appearance at the time, I didn't know Les Brown. I had no connections to Les Brown. I knew exactly what it was that I wanted.
And you put yourself in a place to win, right? Like you invested the money.
Right.
Put yourself in proximity.
Right.
And you gave yourself the best chance of success.
Absolutely.
So I think those things also you got to take into consideration. Like other people, you could have been in your bedroom, but like, I want to meet Les Brown. I was next on TV.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you took definitive action, right? And you started pursuing it, and shit happened. So
and,
you guys are cool, like your boy.
Yeah. And it's so great that you said that, because another thing happened. And this is why it's important for you to pursue your passion.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking about writing a book. I was teetering with the idea of being a motivational speaker. I mean, I'm training people, but I'm teetering. So now I meet him and he's motivating me to be a motivational speaker, but he's also motivating me to be an author. You see how powerful this is? So now I start writing my first book.
And where it came from
and where it
gives you enough confidence to be like, yo, I could do this.
Exactly. And now this is 2017. So now I'm 5 years into personal development, reading and studying and the disciplines like consistently. Before it was inconsistent. I understood the dynamics of personal development, but now I'm 5 years in just studying every day, hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. And then allowing myself to work what I'm studying. You have to understand something. Nothing is ever true until it works for you. I can tell you that you can close your eyes and see and imagine and do all these things, and one day it'll appear. I can tell you that because it worked for me.
Right.
Now you got to go work it. You can't just take my word for it.
Yeah.
So those things had to happen to me for as well.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about like results, what happens is you go from trying to convince somebody to having conviction, right? When you have conviction, once you've done something, you're like, yo, this is what it is.
This is what it is.
I don't care.
Right.
I'm telling you, do this, it will happen.
That's right.
It happened for me. You can't talk like that unless it's happened to you.
Right. You got to come from a knowing.
Right.
It's a knowing. It's a difference between believing in something and actually knowing. When I know, I'm just moving. I tell my children, nope, I know this. This is what's going to happen. 1 + 1 = 2. I know that. But when we're dealing with belief, it's a possibility that because we never actually experienced before, we can teeter in terms of our belief. We can waver in terms of our belief. But when I know something without a shadow of a doubt, boom. And if we operate our lives in the knowing on a daily basis, regardless of if we see it or not, I knew when I sat down, this chair was going to hold me up for this entire I know that for sure.
Right.
There's been some chairs that didn't hold me up, but I still have the confidence that every time I sit down, I'm going to be held up for a duration. I know that. And if we operate like that, then we can materialize and manifest anything we desire.
What do you feel like? You said you coach a lot of people. What is the one thing that you see a lot of where people have struggles with? Like
the biggest challenge I think most people have is they will work hard on their jobs, but they won't work hard on themselves. So I'll go to work, I'll go 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, and I'll push hard on my job. But when it comes down to my life, for me, I won't work hard on myself. And let me tell you why. Society doesn't require us to be educated. It doesn't require us to be rich. It doesn't require us to be healthy. It doesn't require us to be happy. It doesn't require us to be whole. That's not a requirement of society. That's a requirement of yourself. And because we don't have those requirements of ourselves, I'll go to work hard on my job, but I won't work hard on myself. So the main challenge that I see most of the time is that people will dump themselves in work, but when it comes down to their own life, they're out of shape, they're unhappy, they're dealing with anxiety, they're dealing with health issues, they're dealing with family issues, they're dealing with monetary issues because they don't know how to work hard on themselves. So a person will hire me to come in to work with their team and they're like, yo, get the numbers up here. And I'm like, that's not what the problem is. If we get their lives together, then the income will be easy for them. We're missing the big point.
So, I mean, I say this all the time, but I think you kind of said it in another way, so I just want to say it in my way. It kind of all translates.
Yes.
Right? So work hard at your job. That should translate into you working hard in your marriage.
Yes.
It should translate into you working hard and being a father.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to lose weight, it should translate into you working out and eating better. And I was just talking to somebody recently, and there's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about people being in shape. All right? There's an automatic almost respect that comes when you walk in a room because there's an amount of discipline that they already know you have just by seeing you.
Yep.
Just because they know you don't look like that by watching TV, right? You walk in the room, you're like, oh, okay. And me too. I'm sorry, I judge people when I see them. Okay, all right, so this guy's a serious dude, right? Real quick.
Right away.
Serious dude, because he goes after what he does. Obviously, he trains his body. Training your body is really hard,
right?
But getting your mind to move everything else, because like you said, the job is one thing, the family's the other thing, your time is another thing. I mean, I can go on, right? But whatever's important to you, make time for.
Yeah, I know it's interesting that you said that too, because there's also a lot of people that are in shape physically, but mentally they're not in shape.
Right.
So again, we can work hard on something.
Right.
But when it comes down to what we really need to work hard on, which is our mind, our mindset, the mental, that aspect of things, listen, we could do marches, we could do all kinds of obstacle courses when it comes down to the physical aspect, but we have to understand that the universe is mental. We can shift anything from where our minds are. My imagination can go anywhere in this whole entire planet. I can turn my whole life around by changing my imagination. But I think it's from a physical standpoint, and people are suffering on a daily basis because of a physical. They think it's, I got to fight, right? Like I got to do something. And it's far from the truth. It all starts right here.
Yeah, I think holistically, you got to have a balance to it. But again, it comes down to being accountable and actually knowing who you are. Right. What I mean by that is what type of person you are, right? Some people can go. Yeah. Like I know I'm one of those people. I can have an injury and just ignore it because there's something bigger calling me, right? And some people can't. So any little thing, I can't because of this. I can't. You kind of looking for the obstacle, not the solution, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what do you think separates people in that mindset? What is the thing that you see? I see that my personal perspective is that some of it tends to come with the way they grew up. They kind of grew up where their parents don't want them to have any adversity. And so as they become adults, they're adversity averse, right? Like, that's too hard. I can't do that. I can't get another job. I can't do it. Because they kind of like, as a kid, they were like, all the adversity was taken out the way. And as a parent, you think that's your job, right? You think it's your job of trying to enable. So now my kid's a little older than yours. It's more kind of like a mental coach thing now. Like, well, does it make you happy? Yeah. All right, cool. I mean, yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my kids. I was like, well, think about your quality of life. Like he's juggling a couple of jobs, and I'm like, you got home at 9 o'clock at night. You got to be up at 5 in the morning. I was like, is it paying you well? Like I'm just saying, like you do what you want because the kids, they watch you, so like they know I'm up early. I go hard, but I tell them it's because it's mine and because there's no limit. Right. Whereas when you work within a system, there's ways to kind of limit you. Yeah, there's ways. So I was just trying, like, I won't tell him what to do. I think he should quit the other job, but that's not my job.
That's true.
That's his thing. You know what I'm saying?
And I just kind of piggyback off that. You're right. I believe that I saw something interesting the other day. I think it was like parents will go broke. It was like a line where they say, I will go broke for my children, but they won't get rich for them. Like it was like something like where they just kind of like spending all this
just
giving because, well, I grew up, I didn't have. So like we make these kind of excuses, but that's also like a crutch that we give to our children. Like I have the same with my son. I do the same thing with my sons. I kind of show them, right? I show them this is what it takes to be an entrepreneur. This is what it takes to live the way that we live. There's going to be adversity, right? And I show them when there's adversity. This is what adversity is.
This is what it looks like.
This is what it looks like. Yeah. But adversity only reveals who you are to yourself, right? So like if I want to be great and I'm dealing with adversity, I can't be mad at the adversity. I got to look at myself, because if I'm mad at the adversity, there's no room for growth for me. Right. Because I have to understand that the level that I'm on right now, it's always going to be a challenge. This is why I think they kind of buffer the grade system in school. First grade, second grade, third grade. You learn all you need to learn in the third grade, and then you go to the fourth grade, and then you learn all you need to learn, and then you go to fifth grade, because every grade you have to learn something from. Right. In life, we put that to the side, and it's like, I got all of this stuff that I want to accomplish in my life, but I don't want to learn anything in the process. Right. And I think that's why people are dealing with so much adversity, because they're trying to skip grades. Right. And it's like, hey man, listen, you didn't pass all the tests you're supposed to pass at this level.
You're not qualified.
You're not qualified for this. And that's okay. Right. But what we need you to do is learn so you can get to the next level. You can be the greatest person that you were designed to be, not sit here and deal with this adversity.
It's almost when you're not ready, you can have the same opportunities presented to you, but you won't know what to do with them. Exactly. You won't be able to like open it up and be like, oh, I can spin this into that, into this.
Exactly.
If you're not qualified. Exactly. And that's where the education comes in, right?
Well, education, life education doesn't have to
I'm not talking about the university. I'm talking about your self-education.
Right, that's self-education. Yeah. You're right. And we need to, I was listening to Les Brown on my way here, and he said something so funny. It was so funny. And he said, we should have this system every year that we go to see if we are qualified to live another year.
Oof.
Right, like, and you have to literally go to this system
Prove your
and
worth.
prove that
Prove your
you
worth.
deserve to be here, because there's a lot of people that are just living, but they're not living their full purpose in life, and they're just taking up space.
Yo, the craziest part is, I think I said this the other day, but I'll say it on this show. You know, we only get one.
Yes,
It's very that simple.
Yes,
there's no
that's
replay. There's no,
I think
yo,
people think we
give
got
me
another
another
one.
week. Give me another. I mean, Buddhism, all right, I get it, but you might come back as like a fly.
Yeah, something.
It'll be a different life.
Yeah.
But you know, we only get one of these.
Yep.
So why don't you wake up and try to squeeze the shit out of it every day?
That's the truth.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I get it. Some of us face more adversity from the beginning than others.
That's the truth.
But if you want something bad enough, if you want it as bad as you want to breathe, you find a way, bro.
That's the truth.
You find a way.
That's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that right now. I was like, yo, I'm gonna wait. To what?
To what?
Till you can't?
Till you can't.
Yeah, don't wait till you can't. That should be a quote. Don't wait till you can't.
That's good. That's good.
All right, man. So do you have any other books coming up soon, or are you just working on the publishing thing?
Yeah, so now, I mean, the publishing company
Yeah, let's talk about that.
launched by accident.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm writing my first book, Wake Up and Win, 2018, 17. And I hired this publishing company, and who I thought would help me through this process.
Take care of it,
I gave them a very significant amount of money, and I'm just thinking, okay, you know, what do I do now?
Yeah,
So
cut
they
the
tell
check,
me,
so take it.
Right. So I start writing. I don't know anything about writing. I just know I'm a pretty decent speaker at the time. I'm going to take some of the stuff that I talked about and try to put
Write
it
it
in the
down.
book format. So it takes me 2 years to finish this manuscript.
Wow.
2.
Wow.
I had no help, no coaching, nothing.
No editor.
I had an editor because they finally gave me an editor to help me through the edits, but it was the edits of the book that I had already written.
Right. Okay.
So I no help here. So I get to the end of this whole process. I think I don't want to kind of throw this out there, but hey, I'm transparent. I think I had owed the company like $500 or $1,000 or something like
small.
that. Whatever,
Right.
something really small.
Right.
And obviously now I know how this whole process works. So I'm done with the manuscript. Les Brown writes the forward. Now you want to publish a book like that.
Yeah, of course.
You got the guys.
You got the cachet,
You got
right?
the Les Brown.
Yeah.
You could use him, as
Leverage it. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I reach out to the publisher and I'm like, I'm ready to move forward with my cover. I just want to get an idea of, work with the title and things like that. And she didn't listen to nothing I said. You owe the company $1,000. I said, excuse me? I'm in 95%.
Way deeper, right?
Right.
Right.
And we just edited a book for 2 years. So why are we even talking about money right now? Right. And so it didn't, not that we didn't have the money, of course, but it just didn't rub me the right way. There was something about the way it seemed about the money.
The delivery.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it
so
became almost only about the money.
Right. And so I slept on it, and the next morning, man, I literally called her and said, I don't want no more parts of this publishing company. And I walked away from all the money that I gave. And so I reached out to a good friend of mine, Beyond When. I worked with him, helping him do his book. I had nothing to do. We were just kind of like accountability calls. He's a very good friend of mine. And I called him because he published his book. And I said, hey.
How'd you do it?
Yeah, how'd you do it? So he recommended someone else. And good guy, same kind of issue with it comes down to like really answering the questions that I needed to have. So I gave him the rest of my work. He put it on Amazon. And that was basically it. Like I had nothing else. That was it. Like
there was no editing. There was nothing.
No, I got the book edited, but I'm just saying it was like next morning he's like, "Oh, your book is on Amazon." I'm like, "Oh, okay." About me telling people about my book and Les Brown's on it, like advertising all this stuff. So I was like, "Whoa, okay." So, well, my book is out. So I'm speaking often. I'm on the road. I'm selling my book that way, and then we were getting ready to do the Wake Up and Win City tour with Les Brown. Right. So I got now everything that I've been working on is coming together. I got my book. I'm going on tour with Les Brown. We were doing our first event in New York City.
You're gonna have hot spots.
You're gonna. Then COVID.
Yeah, COVID.
So then COVID hit, and we all dealing with this nonsense. And then I'm sitting in the house one day, the remote control. I jump up after I saw this, and I said, "Oh my God, people need to wake up so that they can live." I ran in my office. I sat down in front of my computer. I wrote my second book in 6 days.
Wow.
Wake Up and Live.
2 years and
And
6 days.
2 years first one, 6 days the second one. The difference between the one that took me 2 years and the one that took me 6 days is because I had a burning desire to have people have this book in their hand and them tell me how impactful it was to them.
Right.
First time I didn't have the feeling. I didn't know.
Driven, yeah.
I was driven. But in the process, I said, I need to find out everything I need to find out about a publishing company, because this is never going to happen to me, and it's never going to happen to someone else if I help someone else. Because the only reason why I started the publishing company is because I wanted to write 100 books
For yourself. Right. For
so
yourself.
I'm like, I'm publishing all these books for myself.
Yeah.
And in the process, people start asking me, man, another book came out, you're a bestseller. How do you do that? How do you do this? I'm thinking about writing a book. How do you? And I'm like, wait a minute, am I leaving something on the table?
Right.
And that's how it all started. So I launched a publishing company off of something that happened to me.
Just to publish yourself.
I didn't want this to happen to myself again.
Right, gotcha.
But that's what happens sometimes in life. We go through these experiences, and I want people to understand this. We go through experiences in life. It's not about us. The experiences are about the people's lives we can change because we overcame the experience. It's not for us to sit here all day and cry and worry about all the things that's going on. You got to get through that because there's a message that can impact people's lives because you're the voice. Right? When Les Brown told me something powerful, he said, Jermain, you can't focus on the left. You can't focus on the right. You got to focus on your dream, your goal, your vision, your passion, because when you do that, the people that's supposed to hear your voice, they'll follow you. You can't worry about all what they're doing. And once I got that, I understood that. And then this is what started happening. I became a bestseller from my second book. And then I knew how to work the principles. So I said, if I can do this once, I can do it again. And I did it again. My third book, Unshakable Focus, was a bestseller. I said, if I could do it again, I could do it again. And we did The Magic Power of Your Inner Conversations. That was a bestseller. And now I'm a bestseller. And then now I work the principles with my author. So what I decided was I would go into a niche market. And that niche market was entrepreneurs, because I realized something. Entrepreneurs are like myself. They don't have the time. They have a product or service that they can provide for someone, but they don't have the time to write about it. And I said, well, hey, listen, if I can show them how to write their story or how to write what it is that they're doing in terms of service with a little motivational kick to it, it'll be life-changing. And once I discovered that there are multiple streams of income by having a book, it was life-changing. So we've already published in the last 4 months, we've published about 7 best-selling books.
That's great.
And all different types of industries.
When did you officially go out and start advertising that this is what you do?
Actually, I never advertised. It's never been a situation where.
So how did you get your first author?
My first author, ironically, came through someone who was very close to me at the time, and she kind of really pushed me to help her with her project. And she's like, Jermain, I know you could do it. She's just, she's a very special person. And she was actually motivating me. You need these type of people in your life. And I'm like, nah, I can't. I'm not the one. That's not my thing. And she just kept coming. It was like, I know it's you. I know it's you. I know. And I said, okay, fine. We'll do it.
Fine, I'll do it.
And I'll take this and see if this really works.
Right.
And it did.
Okay.
And then from that moment, everything basically exploded. And I haven't really sat down and started marketing. It's all been pretty much word of mouth and by people seeing the results.
So basically, the first time I met you, she was dropping her book.
Yes.
At the mixer.
Yes,
at the mixer.
yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So that was your first published author.
Yeah. Well, actually, my second, because I had a book called Ready, Set, Network. By one of my close friends who is a very powerful network marketer. And he asked me first. Okay. And we did that. It was quiet, but became a bestseller. And then now I think more because what's happening is that people are becoming bestsellers. People are experiencing tremendous success. Yeah. And obviously the overflow of what they're doing on social media and all that is coming back to me. This is where we talk about giving. So that time was when I really kind of started moving forward.
All right, and then I mean, I think you published Life Coach Guy, right? Was that you?
Life Coach.
I don't know the name of it.
No,
it was like 3 or 4 mixes. Everything.
Oh yeah. It was only 2 books that I know for sure that came out from the mixer. That was Crystal Young, who's a successful real estate attorney.
Shout out to Crystal.
Shout out to Crystal. And Davika, who published her book too as well.
And that was more motivational.
That was more motivational. She just recently released her book. Shout out to her too as well.
Shout out to Davika.
Sow Your Seed, Reap Your Dream is doing very well. So those were the only 2 at that particular mixer, but we just had a really great book be released called Creating Wealth Through Life Insurance.
Life insurance person?
Yep, Lindsay Smith.
Okay.
And then another book that was released too by MG, the mortgage guy, Matthew Garland, called House Hackonomics. So
is that his first book?
That was his first book.
His first book. Okay.
Bestseller too as well. And so these people who already have influence in the marketplace, obviously now are changing their lives because they're an author, and it's reaching more people who they don't even realize that they're reaching because of that.
If you have distribution and influence, right, and you can give value to people, and what I mean by that is not like just give them $5, like give them like some tools. Like I'll give you an example. The reason I think I got into mortgages it resonated with me so much is because I got denied my first time I applied for a mortgage. I got denied and I was pissed. My wife was pregnant and I wasn't hearing no.
Right.
It wasn't gonna happen. So I went to the first bank, they said no. Then I called somebody that I know. I said, look, this is my situation. I was like, this is back in 07, 08. I'm like, look, I got this amount of money. I got this credit score. Everybody and their mom is getting a loan.
Right.
This guy, they gotta be wrong. He's like, no, I got you. Call my man. And then I did my loan through Countrywide, which is Bank of America now.
Yep. I remember.
Spoke to this guy named Milton, never met him. I was like, look, this is my situation. He goes, yeah. I remember like the shit that really makes an impact on your life. You remember the details, everything. I was like, look, man, this is what I got. I got a house. It's day 1 360. I got 36. I got this. I got that. I was like, yo. He was like, all right, no problem. Send me the approval on the phone. I was like, bet. I went to contract, closed on the house. We moved into the 2-family house, but it could have went a different way. Right. I could have believed that this person that worked at Norfolk Bank that doesn't exist anymore, so I don't care. Right. They sat me down, and I was a business owner at the time. I had a liquor store and a nightclub. And I banked with them. So I thought, like everybody else, you see my money, whatever. So she sits me down. She opens up a book. What do you want to buy? I want to buy a house. Okay. So she's asking me questions and then flipping through a book with a big binder. And every question, she just keeps flipping. And then she closed the binder. She goes, I can't help you.
Wow.
Yeah. So that could have went like, you think that like the multiverse, you think of different ways, right? Yes. It could have went 2 ways. It could have, I was like, I guess I'm rent for the rest of my life. Right. Or I got pissed off and I was like, my wife is pregnant. I got to move the fuck out. We making this happen. Man. And I called, I start calling. You start calling with purpose.
Yes.
I gotta make this happen. Whatever.
Yes.
And you make it happen.
And that's the thing, right? It's that sense of urgency that we don't live by. Yeah. And we wait until the house is burning down to live with that urgency.
Yeah. I've been listening to I forgot where I saw it, but Parkinsons Law. You know the law? Mm-hmm. The law is that, as much time as you give a job is as long as it take you. Yep. Yeah. But so I called myself the other day. I said, I'm gonna do this at 11 a.m. I was like, you know what? It's 9 o'clock, 9:20.
Done.
And boom, done. Right. And if you learn how to train yourself and become accountable, you could change your life.
Yes.
Right?
Immediately.
Be organized, be efficient. And you could see you get so much more done in one day instead of letting, I'll do it Friday. And this is, I think, when I was in college and pretty much high school too, I was the other way. I was like, I'll do that Friday. On Thursday night, I'm like,
Anxiety,
I'm staying up all night.
Nuts.
Yeah. But now as an adult, you understand how important your time is.
Yeah.
And if you apply yourself, how much time you'll have to do shit that you want.
That you really want to do.
Right. Instead of, and get all the other shit out the way. Just knock it out. Knock it out. Yeah.
Knock it out.
And people, they say youth is wasted on the young. Yeah. Right. They don't understand that. I try to tell my kids, I'm like, yo, man, if you do this today, then Friday you're not bugging out.
Right. And you're free. You got the whole weekend free.
Yeah. But
just clean your room now.
Yeah. Just clean it right now. Come on, I'm trying to tell you right now.
Right.
But and I think as the stakes get higher, and what I mean by that is not just money, it's just as you become like the patriarch of your family.
Right.
And I think that's what changes. Like when our responsibilities become more real, we start looking at things more intensely.
Right.
And like, yo, I got to be in 5 different places today.
Yeah.
All right, what can I knock out? All right, this. Let me knock that out quick. do these 2 things and I get back. And you're like, because people depend on you, whether it's your family, clients, your spouse, your kid, anybody, like, and that's, things get serious.
And this is interesting. You said that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
Because I realized that we all got 24 hours a day.
Right.
In fact, I was reading this book by William E. Bailey called Rhythms of Life. It's a poem book.
Okay.
And a guy went to the universe, and the universe said, and he went to the universe, asked the universe for more time. Kept asking, I need more time, I need more time. Universe finally responds and says, I can't give you more time, give me more of you. We all got 24 hours in a day. You asking for 25.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you want more hours in your day, you have to get up early. So what I do purposely with intention is I know between 5 and 7, it's 5 and 7:30.
The world is asleep.
World is asleep. It's
yeah,
the most.
Absolutely.
It's the easiest way to penetrate anything you want to do. Get up early. You need more time. Get up at 4, right? And so by 7:30, I done ran 10 miles. I probably done worked out already. Did another 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. Juiced, meditate. Already ate 2 breakfasts by 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
I got myself taken care of.
Right. But you're prioritizing it.
Right. Yeah. Now I get to go and tackle a day. Most people allow the day to tackle them.
Right. They wake up with no purpose.
Right. They wake up in neutral.
Right. They're like, yo, what's going on?
I don't know. Okay. All right. Got it. So we have to be able to create our lives by design and not by default. Design says I get up 5 a.m. I'm doing what I want to do. Default says I get up at 7:30. I keep banging.
I'm just reacting to everything,
and I'm reacting to everything.
Yeah, I'm reacting to everything instead of being proactive. Yeah. That's like another discipline too, but people don't understand. Like, a lot of things don't happen by mistake.
No,
you know what I'm saying? They say, "Oh, you're lucky." I'm like, "Yeah, am I?" I mean, I get up, I make the calls, I do what I got to do, I put myself in position to win.
Yeah,
proximity is power. All these beliefs I have, like. Proximity is power. I get myself in certain areas. If I feel like there's a good energy between me and the person, I make the effort to connect more, to go deeper, because who you're around most of the time kind of defines who you are.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
so it takes effort, but some people just always think of it as being lucky.
Yeah.
Like, you're lucky. Like, nah, man, ain't no luck to it.
Luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Correct.
Right. That's basically what luck is.
Correct. But to the untrained eye, because they don't, I believe that people, there's such a negative connotation with the word work.
Yeah.
Preparation is another word for work. Going again, just negative. They're like, yo, that's to prepare. Like, all right, just talking about like dropping some weight right now. There's meal prep. There's work involved. There's stuff you got to plan out. You got to plan it out.
Yes.
How you do that? Yo, by doing it. Sundays, you take a little time, you do what you gotta do, map out your day, give yourself 3 days, and so that you don't have to worry about that during the day because you have other shit you're tackling.
Yep.
But no, all these things are kind of foreign, bro. Like, and I think as the generations go forward,
it gets worse.
It's getting more foreign, right? And I'm like, yo, what's going on? And so I think reason for the podcast today is to really talk about that and let people know that it's not by mistake or not by luck. It's really preparation and moving forward with purpose, and also taking definitive action. Like, like just saying I want to meet Les Brown and staying in your bedroom in your underwear ain't gonna do it.
No, it's not gonna
like,
do
yo,
it.
He's over there. Yo, I'm gonna go over there.
Right.
Whoa, it costs 5 G's? Damn. All right, I'm gonna go over there.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
sacrifice.
you take a second, you're like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
Because that was your purpose.
That was my purpose.
It was calling you.
That was calling you. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are there talks about doing the tour with him now, coming down?
We haven't really talked about that. Obviously, since COVID, he's kind of like more remote from home.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he does a lot of things from home. But we've done
Facebook.
We've done a Facebook Live together.
Okay.
Wake Up and Live. When I did my second book, we did that together. About an hour and 30 minutes we did. We got some other things in the pipeline that we're working on too as well.
Is he planning to come back out and start speaking again or no?
It depends on if the money's right.
Okay.
But for the most part, he does everything Zoom.
Really?
Like everything.
That's his new thing?
That's his new thing. He loves it.
I know he was in New York last.
It was last August.
Yeah, a couple, I would say a year ago, right?
Last August
Yeah. I think I told you about that. My friends were like, oh, they're doing something with him. And I'm like,
in August.
Bro, I have a job. You know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me the night before. Give me like a week or two to plan. But I missed that opportunity. But it's dope. I mean, he just lends such a positive presence.
Yeah.
To everything. And if you're in that space, you know exactly who he is.
Absolutely.
And if you're not in that space, you should find out.
You should find exactly. Absolutely.
Absolutely, brother. Where can people find you? And when you tell that, speak to the camera. Where's the best place to contact you if they want help with publishing their book, if they want to buy a book, or just want to learn more about you?
Yeah, well, everything right now is easy, accessible online. You can find me on all my social media handles, Jermain Miller, that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you want to go, and that's Jermain Miller. You can also email me at jermain@jermainmiller.com for any bookings or any speak-ins. As far as publishing is concerned, you can go to jmpublishingllc.com and leave your information, and someone will return your inquiry.
All right, man. Listen, we are working on something, but I don't want to talk about that yet, all right? When it's ready, we'll let you know.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.